Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening wherever you are in the world today. Let me start our walk with a very honest question. How many more months, or maybe years, will your English need to be ready? Welcome to the Cambridge English Walking Podcast. I'm Slava.
And I am Victoria. We are absolutely thrilled to walk with you today. Before we dive into our big topic, we want to say a huge thank you. We have been reading your comments and they make us so incredibly happy. Whether you listen to us while cooking breakfast, walking your dog, or going to work, we appreciate you.
Exactly. And today, we're taking a beautiful, relaxing walk through the historic center of Cambridge. I truly believe this is the most atmospheric city in the world to practice your English. We're walking past stunning old architecture, the air is fresh, and we want you to just breathe and relax with us.
It is the perfect environment for learning, because today's episode is specifically for learners who listen a lot and understand a lot, but still feel completely terrified when it is time to open their mouths and speak. If you are waiting for a magical day when speaking suddenly feels effortless, you need to hear this.
Let's talk about your progress first. Many students are incredibly hard on themselves. They say, "My English is terrible because I cannot speak fast." But think about it. If you're listening to this B1, B2 podcast right now, and you understand what we are saying, you have already achieved something massive.
Yes, that is not a small achievement. It's huge. Your ears are getting sharper, your brain is processing new phrases, and you're starting to understand the natural rhythm of real English. It is quiet progress, yes, but it's very real.
Imagine that learning a language is like collecting puzzle pieces. Every time you listen to an episode, you're gathering more beautiful pieces. But speaking is when you finally sit down and try to connect those pieces together to see the whole picture.
That is a beautiful way to look at it. But here's the problem. Connecting the pieces is scary. So many learners fall into the waiting trap. They constantly put off speaking. To put off means to delay something because you don't want to do it right now.
Let's analyze this trap. Many of you tell yourselves a very convincing story. You say, "I am not avoiding conversations, I am just preparing. I need to learn a few more advanced tenses first." But honestly, preparation can quickly become a very cozy waiting room.
Oh, absolutely. A cozy waiting room for your fear. Fear is sitting on a soft sofa, drinking a cup of coffee and saying, "Don't stress yourself today. We'll speak next month," when our vocabulary is bigger. Fear always has a very logical, professional excuse.
And because of this, learners become reluctant to speak. Reluctant means you are hesitating. You want to speak deep inside your heart, but your mind pulls you back and says, "No, not today. It is not safe."
But waiting does not make the fear disappear. In fact, waiting trains the fear. It's like a forest path. If you never walk on it, the grass grows tall and it looks like a dark, scary jungle. You have to take a step to clear the path.
And we all know what happens when real life finally forces you to speak. Imagine you're traveling. A friendly person walks up to you and asks a very simple question. You know the answer, but suddenly your mind goes blank.
Yes, to go blank means your brain becomes complete with empty. It feels like all the English vocabulary you learned just packed a suitcase, bought a ticket, and flew away to another country. You just freeze and say nothing.
This happens because of self-doubt. Self-doubt is that critical voice inside your head that questions your abilities. It stands in front of you like a strict security guard at a nightclub saying, "Sorry, you are not fluent enough to enter this conversation."
And the most frustrating part? 5 minutes after the conversation is over, your brain finally relaxes, and suddenly you think of the most beautiful, perfect English sentence, but the moment is already gone.
So, how do we fire that security guard? How do we start? First, we have to completely change our expectations. Many learners secretly want to open their mouths and instantly sound like a Hollywood actor or a TED Talk speaker.
But real life is not a TED Talk. Real life is messy and simple. Real life is asking, where is the nearest pharmacy? Or, can I have the menu, please? The goal is not to perform a perfect show. The goal is to survive the situation.
Think of your English like driving a car at night in thick fog. Some learners refuse to drive because they cannot see the entire city. But you don't need to see the entire city to move.
Exactly. You just turn on your headlights and you can see the next 10 meters, and that's enough light to move forward. You don't need massive, complex sentences. You just need to be articulate, which simply means making your idea clear.
But why are we so terrified of making mistakes? Why does our heart beat so fast? I believe it comes from our childhood. In school, mistakes were treated as crimes. The teacher took a red pen and covered your paper in corrections.
Yes, school taught us that if you make an error, you fail. You get a bad grade and you feel embarrassed. So when we speak a foreign language as adults, we feel deeply exposed. Exposed means feeling vulnerable and completely unprotected.
But we need to wake up and realize something crucial. Real life is not a school exam. The friendly tourist on the street does not have a red pen in their pocket. If you use the wrong preposition, nobody is going to give you an F.
Absolutely. Let's change how we view mistakes. A mistake is not a personal failure. It is just like the helpful GPS in your car. When you take a wrong turn, the GPS does not scream at you. It just recalculates the route.
That is a brilliant way to look at it. But Victoria, there is another huge illusion. Students always say to me, Slava, I will start speaking when I finally feel confident. What is the truth about confidence?
The truth is that confidence never comes first. Confidence is not a magic pill you can swallow in the morning. Confidence needs proof. It needs evidence. It only comes after you take the action.
It is exactly like learning to ride a bicycle. You cannot read a book about bicycles and suddenly feel confident. When you get on the bike, you wobble. You feel completely unstable. You are trying to find your footing.
Yes, to find your footing means to slowly find your balance in a scary new situation. At first, your sentence wobbles, your grammar shakes, and it feels incredibly awkward. But feeling awkward means you're growing.
So, if a student wants to get their point across, but they suddenly forget a specific word, what is the strategy? To get across means to successfully share your idea with someone.
The best strategy is flexibility. Many learners think fluency means knowing every word in the dictionary. No, fluency is the ability to survive the conversation when you forget the words.
Let's give a real-life British example. Imagine you are in a kitchen and you completely forget the word kettle. Your mind is blank. Do not panic and stop speaking.
Exactly. Just describe it. Say, could you pass me the hot water machine for the tea? Is it perfect? No. But will the British person understand you and make the tea? Yes, that is real fluency.
But we must acknowledge the emotional pain too. Speaking a new language feels like losing your personality. In your native language, you are funny, smart, and quick. But in English, you might feel like a child.
That is so true, Slava. It hurts your ego. You know how intelligent you are inside, but English only lets you show a tiny part of yourself at first. And that is why speaking takes real bravery.
Yes, you have to put yourself out there. To put yourself out there means to take an emotional risk. It means showing people that you are a learner and being okay with the fact that your sentences are not perfect yet.
But you don't have to jump into a terrifying situation right away. Start safe. Talk to your pets. Dogs are the best English teachers because they never judge your grammar. Or just send a 30-second voice note to yourself.
Just narrate your life. When you are making breakfast, say out loud, I am opening the fridge. I am taking out 2 eggs. Every single short sentence you say is one small brick in your house of confidence.
Exactly. And sometimes you just have to push through. To push through means to keep going, even when you feel scared. Just smile, take a deep breath, and say, "Give me a second. I'm still practicing."
Protect your voice, but do not hide it. And one day, I promise you, you will answer a question without translating it in your head, and you will experience a breakthrough.
A breakthrough, that beautiful, sudden moment of progress where everything finally clicks. It will not happen with fireworks in the sky. It will happen quietly in a supermarket when you ask where the bread is.
And before we get to our final review, I want to add one more thing. Many students treat mistakes like a lost investment. They think, I made a mistake, so I lost my time, I lost my reputation, I lost everything. But that is the wrong way to think.
You are so right. Mistakes are not a lost investment. They're the best investment you can make in your language journey. Every time you make a mistake and someone corrects you, or you realize it yourself, your brain carves that rule into your memory forever.
Exactly. When you get a test question right, your brain says, okay, whatever. But when you make a mistake and feel that little sting of embarrassment, your brain says, whoa, we need to remember this so it never happens again. The mistake is the alarm clock for your brain.
It is the wake-up call. So next time you speak and feel that awkward silence, smile, because you just bought yourself a very expensive lesson that you will never forget. You are not failing. You're just collecting your best lessons.
And before we get to our final review, I want to talk about one last strategy. It is the success diary. Many B1 learners keep a diary of their mistakes. They write down every wrong preposition they used. But that is depressing. I want you to change your focus.
Oh, I love this. A success diary is much more powerful than a mistake diary. Instead of writing down your errors, write down your wins. Did you order a coffee in English today? Write it down. Did you understand one funny sentence in a movie? Write it down.
Yes, your brain is like a garden. If you only look at the weeds, the mistakes, that is all you will see. But if you focus on the flowers, the small victories, you start to see that your garden is actually beautiful and growing. You are collecting evidence that you are becoming a speaker.
Start this today. It takes 30 seconds before you go to sleep. Just write one thing you did in English that made you proud. When you see a list of 50 wins in your diary, your brain will stop saying, I can't speak, and start saying, actually, I am doing pretty well. It changes everything.
And that brings us to the importance of being kind to yourself. If you speak to a friend who is learning your native language, you don't judge them, right? You are patient. Why are you so much harder on yourself than you are on others?
That is the golden question. We are often our own worst critics. We speak to ourselves with a tone we would never use with a friend. Imagine if your friend came to you and said, I made a mistake in English. I feel so stupid. What would you say?
You would say, are you crazy? You were doing something amazing. You were learning a new language. You would be their biggest supporter. So why not be your own supporter? Be the friend that you need.
Start by saying good job to yourself after every attempt, even if the sentence was messy, even if you used the wrong verb. You took the risk. You showed up. You played the game. That deserves a good job.
Okay, as we continue our walk, it is finally time for our vocabulary review. Let's make sure these new words stay in your long-term memory. Victoria, let's start with the most important one.
Let's look at the word reluctant. Remember, it means you do not really want to do something because you feel nervous, unsure, or afraid. Example, she was reluctant to speak English in the meeting because of her accent.
Excellent. Word number 2 is a compound noun, self-doubt. That critical little voice inside your head that makes you question your own abilities. Example, do not let self-doubt stop you from traveling the world.
Word number 3 is an adjective, awkward. It describes a situation or feeling that is uncomfortable, strange, or not smooth. Example, my first conversation with a native speaker felt very awkward, but I survived.
Now for a great B1 idiom, to find your footing. It means slowly become comfortable and find your balance in a new, scary situation. Example, when you move to a new country, it takes a few months to find your footing.
Another fantastic phrase, to put yourself out there. This means to take an emotional risk, step out of your comfort zone, and try something bravely. Example, if you want to make new friends, you have to put yourself out there.
And the phrasal verb, to push through. To continue doing something even when it is difficult, tiring, or scary. Example, I was exhausted, but I pushed through and finished my English homework.
Fantastic job, everyone. Now, put yourself out there right now. Stop waiting for perfect. We love you, we believe in you, and we will see you on our next walk. Goodbye.
See you next time.